Pop open a new terminal. Pop it open Chrome if it wants to open. Apparently it doesn't want to open. There we go. DatoCMS. There's DatoCMS. There's a couple other things. Oop, that's the wrong window. There we go. Intro today is just going to be me pouring my coffee. I have to remember to not put things in the top right corner now, I guess. Let's pour the rest of this water out. Get a coffee cup. All right. So today we're going to be going over DatoCMS. We don't need Spotify over here, which I have never used. So this will be interesting. Let's see. Let's go into the gatsby-mdx repo. Actually, this probably needs to be somewhere else, I guess. I mean, it doesn't really need to be, but starting to get a lot of examples in the gatsby-mdx repo. So are we on latest master? We're not. Okay. So let's run yarn there so we have everything. I'll get rid of this coffee bag. And then we will get started here. So the thing that I'm going to do here is probably just download the blog starter into the examples repo. So we'll put that over here, we'll get a new one, and then we'll do Gatsby starter blog. Actually, we can use, where's the thing here? There we go. So we're going to start from a brand new blog, and then we're going to convert it to MDX, I guess. Or actually, HackNerd has a new starter, so maybe we'll just use that. I think this is the same one. So that needs to be not a new line, but we will do DatoCMS blog for the example. I'll finish pouring my coffee. Username for github.com. Oh, that's the, it's an HTTP URL? Damn. I feel like that didn't happen on the, or that doesn't happen on the normal blog starter. Weird. Well, in that case, I'll just clone this, because I don't feel like typing in my password. DatoCMS blog. I misordered that actually. This needs to be at the end. DatoCMS blog. And then we'll just remove the actual Git repo on the end of it. The DatoCMS blog will rm rf.git, because we don't really care about it. Cat the package.json. Package.json will be slightly different. We want this, so I used Yarn workspaces to work on gatsby-mdx and all of the examples. So I'm going to change this so that we have a workspace name that we can actually work with. Cool. We're going to have to add a dependency there. But let's start with that. Let's make sure that everything works. We'll do a yarn install so that we have the dependencies for the blog CMS that we're using. I probably should have logged in before I started the stream. See how I can pull the password up on my other computer and then I'll do it that way. There we go. Let's do this. While that installs, I'm going to log into DatoCMS. So I created an account before the stream started, but I didn't actually do it on this computer. So I'm just logging in. We're going to have to create a workspace or whatever version of a workspace they have. I'm probably going to screw this up so bad. It worked! There we go. What happened here? Is that Sharp that's throwing an error? That is Sharp that's throwing an error. So we're going to blow away the node modules because that's how that works. Sharp is really annoying. Hey Krypton, they have models. So so I'm going to create like a workspace and then create some models in the workspace is what you're saying? Thanks for the follow, Jadude, I'm assuming that is. So let's run yarn again to make sure that we get everything that we need. So I need to create a new project in DatoCMS, I'm assuming. Let's just start with a demo project and see how it goes. Let's call it a static website. We don't really need the Gatsby instructions or anything. Name of the new project. I don't actually want it to create a new Git repo in my account. I just want to see the demo project, right? Like I want it to set up some content for me without actually doing anything. So I guess we'll just do it manually. Let's do a gatsby-mdx test. Cool. I'm on a free plan, so I don't know if we're going to run into any issues. Looks like there's some ESLint errors in the project that we just pulled in, so I can fix that. Path prefix is not defined. Samples. Actually, we already have a Emacs open, don't we? No, we don't. Examples. DatoCMS source components code. I think those are my ESLint errors. So I don't think that the starter has an ESLint config in it, but my project for gatsby-mdx does. That's a little bit stricter than normal. There is an ESLint. Okay, so let's just get rid of that, I guess. See if that fixes it. Nope, same thing. Okay, so we're gonna fix this. See it, so we can see this. Components. Why is my dashboard failing? That's silly. You can do everything with the free plan for this. Sweet, that's all dope. I was hoping that was the case, but I didn't know for sure. So let's go into this code thing. We need to add a key on a couple of these. Render is defined but never used. Where is render? So we don't need that. Line 20, we need a key because we're iterating over a set of props. We can actually ignore that. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? Because ESLint sort of doesn't know that we're using this type of component, I'm just going to disable it in this file. And that should do it. And then we need to check out the layout component because it uses path prefix. I'm just going to remove that. This doesn't matter to me because this is just an example, so I'm just going to remove that too. So that should fix the other lint error as well. And then we'll be fine. We'll commit it and we'll continue. Looks like there's a bunch of changes that have happened since I didn't last use Dato. Give a shape to this backend. Yeah, I get that I need to do that. It doesn't look like it lets me do anything. Oh, there we go. Article, sure, why not? Single instance. Do you need to manage a collection of records of this kind or just a single one? I can't think of a situation in which I would need to manage just a single instance. Oh, okay, so that's like for an about page, yeah. This is not a single instance, this is like a set of articles. Am I not allowed to save this without changing stuff? Or is that like the... Oh, yeah, okay, so that placeholder needs to be a little bit less intense, because I thought that was actually content that was initialized in the name field. Let's call this blog post. Right, because I think that that is the way that it works down here. I'll add the example in the yarn.lock. I don't think we committed anything that we shouldn't have. Good. Oh, I want to remove that package JSON though. Or the package lock, sorry. That'll run prettier on all the files, so that's dope. Cool. So now we're in a situation where we can look at the data type that we're trying to do in this example, which will be probably in Node or something like that. So we're querying all MDX, so that's cool. I think that'll work for us. All this should just work, but if it doesn't, then it doesn't, and we'll figure it out. So we'll save this model. What are the additional settings, actually? All locales required. Enable draft publish system, that's cool. Records, tabular view, compact view. I prefer compact views, but I don't know that that matters. I think this is admin UI stuff. Order records by update time. Let's order it by, I don't know if we get the order in the DatoCMS Gatsby plugin. Well, yeah, update time is fine. I'd prefer publish time, but I don't want to go through and create a ton of fields either. So that doesn't have any other fields. I don't see any other way to create fields, so we can't set that title field yet. So I'm assuming we can go back and change that later. So yeah, let's do, what's the best one for a title? Single line string, title, don't care about validations and stuff. What's the presentation? Show as heading. Cool, yeah, let's show it as a heading. Why not? I don't know what that does. Title, and then we'll do more text. For multi-paragraph text, and we'll call this MDX body, I guess. I don't know. I'm just trying to make it very clear that this is... Oh, cool, there's editor settings? That's interesting. I wonder if we can customize that somehow. Because there's no MDX thing here, and we'll just use the Markdown editor for now. I hope that doesn't block me from using JSX, because that is definitely something that I want to do at some point in this test. But we'll see. So that is that. Did I just get an alert for? Oh. Okay, so how do we add content now? Hello, admin. Hello. How's it going? I need a giant plus sign somewhere to tell me that I can add records. That was an interesting loading state. I don't think that matters though. The blank state is good enough. And then we do like, I don't know, let's just copy in some content from what we have in this example. Because basically we're going to run this example, make sure it works, and then we're going to take the content from the example, Yarn Workspace, DatoCMS blog. I need to write an autocomplete for workspaces names. And then develop should be it. And that should work, so we'll check that out. I might be running something else, so it might run on 8001, but the function constructor is eval. Why is it ESLinting gatsby-mdx for me? It doesn't matter. Cool. I see Matt changed the little profile photo to be him. That's cool. I'm trying to find the one that has the MDX in it. There we go. So this is going to be rendered with MDX. It's just markdown code blocks. New beginnings. Cool. So everything works. Let's add the DatoCMS. I think it's Gatsby source DatoCMS. but that's not CMS, that's CSM. Gatsby source Dato. It's gonna think I meant data, which is interesting. Let's see, on Twitter I have somebody that pointed me a link to this. Oh, thanks guys, people, whoever runs that account. So I guess we can ping them if we run into trouble. This one is the one that the person that I'm doing this for is using. The link was a little bit malformated on Twitter, so just delete that. Let's see, where are we going here? Gatsby source DatoCMS, so that's the right thing to install. Cool. So we'll add that. Oh, there's a sample Gatsby project. That's cool. Might want to look at that later. Read-only API token. Hopefully I can reset that token after this stream because I'm about to go look at it. Preview mode. No, I think we just want published stuff. Automatic reloading of content when some change occurs on DatoCMS. That's interesting. They must have implemented that in the plugin, or the source plugin, which is super interesting. Custom API based URL, I don't think we need that. We might need that, I don't know. But I don't think we're even going to need to query it with the DatoCMS model. We actually might need to, but I think we can get around doing that and just use MDX. So let's get into adding this plugin. In the Gatsby config for this project, we've got a file system source and some other stuff. We are going to add basically this whole documentation block. Cool. Your read-only API token. Cool. I'm going to make this. Like that. I'll leave everything else here. I think these are just the defaults. I hope these are just the defaults. If it doesn't work, we can go back and check it. I need to find a token for this somewhere. Settings, maybe. Maybe global settings, API tokens. There we go. Full access read-only. I think we need read-only. So we'll copy this. That's nice. I do wish that for streaming, like everybody forgets about this kind of thing for streaming, but I do wish that this was not displayed by default for streaming. Because then it would mean that I could set it up, I could pull a terminal to the side and set my API token and then use it without actually displaying it on stream. But worst case scenario, I'll just end up deleting this account because it looks like there is no way to, oh, there's a regen, cool. I'll just regenerate it after the stream. So let's do develop, and then we'll do Dato token, if I can spell. I can never spell on stream, it's kind of bad. Dato token. That should hit something. There's no nodes that are going to be created because we don't have any data. At least I don't think there's going to be any nodes. Regenerate runtime is not defined. That's interesting. That's a Babel thing. So let's go check the DatoCMS thing. Well, first of all, let's rerun yarn because we could have just screwed something up by adding the package to the workspace before. But the next thing that we're going to check if that doesn't work is we're going to go check Gatsby node, and if Gatsby node is a compiled file, that could be where our regenerator runtime issue is coming from. So let's go back into our content and see if we can create some of this content while we're waiting for that to install. Where are we here? Let's do actually this is gonna be faster down here, up here. It's taking a while to install. I think my computer's slowing down a little bit, but where are we? We can go into content. We'll open a direct in blog. Then we'll go, I think the Hi Folks one was the one that had the MDX content in it. We don't particularly need to use this one, I just want to. So this is MDX body. I'm hoping that this doesn't get like compiled because we used the, why is all of this blank? That's a weird paste. Oh, there we go. It just took a second. They probably use a special font or something. What is this called? Hi from Dato. I think that'll be fine. I like the font that they use for this. I don't know if this is like where I'm expected to modify most of my content if I'm using Dato, but I do like that font. What is going on over here? I think Yarn got stuck for some reason. Let's kill that and restart it. So I think we have some data in here. That means that we'll have a collection. So we have hi from Dato. It only has 2 fields, so if we go and look at the way that we're using this in Gatsby node, we'll probably have to change our GraphQL call. Because we're calling all MDX, we're sorting by front matter date. We don't have date in the blog post right now, which is fine. And then we have field slug, which gets created on MDX types. If this comes down as, so the big question here is whether this comes down as type markdown or not, or it comes down as something else. If it comes down as a markdown type, then we're good. If it doesn't, then we might have to hack around something. I wonder if we get these published at and things like that by default or not. I also don't know if this is published, and I don't know where the publish button would be. There's only a save. I guess I didn't enable preview mode, so we should be fine. But yeah, so that should be okay. Yarn is taking a really long time right now. But we need to run that for the example to run. So we're just gonna hang out and talk for a second. The CPU is way jacked up. I think that's OBS doing that actually. Yeah, OBS is at like 1,000 right now. I need to clamp OBS down into the CPU that it's allowed to take over, because it sort of is taking over my computer whenever I stream these days. There we go. It dropped. Well, that's definitely the issue. Like OBS just dropped off some CPU percentage, so my computer was able to actually use it, which is wild. Need to run OBS in a container or something. So this part I am expecting to take a little longer, because it'll do the sharp check, and sharp always takes a while to load. That looks much better. System is not using as much CPU anymore. Cool. So we can take a look at this. This will be. So yeah, I'm basically interested to see how the DatoCMS plugin works. So maybe we can go dive into that source code for a second. There's a bunch of like how to query and things like that. I don't think we actually need to query. I think it like if it's the same as the other source plugins that I'm familiar with, it'll pull down the nodes anyway. Cool. Yarn, workspace, develop, and hopefully we get rid of that regenerator runtime issue. Okay, that's not good. So now the only other thing that I can think of is if the Dato source Gatsby source Dato. My guess is that they compile this and they use generators to do it. So there's a regenerator runtime here. But there's no regenerator runtime imported unless you have Babel running on everything. So where's the Gatsby node here? So this is the plugin. Actually, I'm going to cat this instead so we get some syntax highlighting. So we create the item nodes. Looks like they have their own site client, which is cool. There's some fetching happening. I'm seeing some async. I don't see anything that requires Babel, so I may literally just move source into the root and just overwrite everything. Because it doesn't look like we're actually using generators. It looks like async await is compiling to generators. So that'll get rid of that issue for us. It's a little unfortunate that that's happening. Though I don't know any other way that I can go in and actually check to make sure that Babel is sort of required. I wonder if they have it in their package. See, they do a CI publish, which is dope. So maybe we can pull down the CI build and see if it's changed. There's Babel core and everything as dev dependencies, but not as core dependencies. I don't see the runtime in here. So we might need to include the runtime. That's another option, actually. So what do I want to do here? Looks like my CPU is fine, so I'm going to take the risk and I'm going to go into node modules and I'm just going to move source for a sec. But that won't work long term. Let's see. Let's go check the Babel runtime. Because async await compiles to generators, you need to include the runtime, but I haven't. done that in a while, and I don't think that Gatsby includes it by default. Here we go, Babel Runtime includes the regenerator runtime. So if we include the runtime along with the Babel plugin, okay, so let's do that. Workspace, DatoCMS blog. I wonder if their example has the runtime in it. Actually, I just remembered that they have an example. This is 10 months ago. Maybe the plugin has developed since then a little bit. Masonry, remark, Dato, link, .env. Oh yeah, this is Gatsby 1.9. So something may have changed. I don't know if the runtime got removed from 1.9 to 2.0, but that's entirely a possibility. So let's do this. Let's do add Babel runtime, and maybe we'll submit a PR to update this to not use that anymore, or we'll include it as a dependency or something. I don't see any mention of the runtime in the README, so I'm not sure if they know about this issue, but we could check the issues as well, which is one of the wonderful things about open source. I wonder if there is a something about downgrading here. I wonder what version we have. Gatsby source DatoCMS should give us the version that we have installed. So somehow we got the 1.0 version, and it looks like there's a v2. So I don't know how we got the 1.0 version, even though there's a v2, unless there is a different namespace that is under. So this is actually what I'm going to work through right now. We're going to go find the latest version of Gatsby source DatoCMS. I wonder if it's in alpha or something. Nope, it's not published on NPM. Huh. I wonder if we can pull in the Git repo. Actually, let's do a full look at DatoCMS's releases. Okay, so 2 is an alpha. There are 2 dist tags, so it looks like we can intentionally install 2. It's weird that this isn't tagged. So I'm assuming what's happening here is that they published 1.1.15 after they published 2.0.1. And what that does for the NPM registry is it changes the latest tag to 1.1.15, which is unfortunate, but my guess is that's what happened. Yeah, Krypton, do you work for Dato? You seem to know a lot about how Dato works. Yeah, it's really unfortunate that you can't publish like 2 versions to NPM, where like you maintain a v1 branch and a v2 branch kind of thing. It's one of the things that I don't like about NPM. Okay, so let's try that. So that should have given us the 2.0 version. '401 invalid site, that's good. I think that means that Dato tried to hit and it didn't make it. So let's try it with the token. Cool, that's probably good. Let's kill that and see what the error is. Cannot read properly slug of null. Okay. That's interesting. What else is the error here? Cannot replace of undefined. So we're doing create file path. So we need to change something here because now we're getting remote data. And in Gatsby node we're using create file path to do the slug. I don't know what kind of content we will have here, so let's console log out some stuff. So the two things that I'm going to do is I'm going to log out the node, and I'm going to get node on the parent, and I'm going to log that out too. Actually, I could probably let this run and just query the GraphQL schema, now that I think about it. But oh, you asked that. Oh, I didn't see your. That's hilarious. Cool. Yeah, so you're watching me stumble through using DatoCMS. Come on, boot the server. There we go. Let's check out graphical. Spiky CPU again. Very spiky CPU. That's interesting. I wonder if that's Gatsby. Okay, let's do this. All MDX is probably not going to be there because the slug isn't created. But we can try it and see what we get. My guess is we won't have like front matter, like there won't be anything here really. Oh, cool, there's an actual title on that. That's pretty cool. Okay, so let's get rid of the old stuff first. Because we are still doing this to the file system source, and let's get rid of the file system source so that we don't see that in the actual situation here. Let's kill this because it's throwing so many errors. Examples DatoCMS.cache. So I'm blowing away the cache just so that it rebuilds. This will blow away the Dato data too, but I'm okay with that. Cool, so we get a DatoCMS blog post as the parent type, which is cool. Oh, it's not going to let me do that if I don't have the ESLint errors passing. Okay, well, we'll leave the file system source in then. And we'll fix that later. Is this still running over here? No, it's not. I'm going to do the same thing. I was trying to take a shortcut and it didn't work. That's what I get for trying to cheat the system. What happened to my Spotify though? It totally failed. Oh well. So I'll quit Spotify and try to reopen it. There we go. So we have the API back up. So we'll run this, and then we'll do another query, and we'll query the DatoCMS stuff. All DatoCMS. That's not the autocomplete for that. There we go. DatoCMS. What else do we have here? MDX body text node. ID. And this will have child MDX on it. Let's take a look at what that is. So this should be a bunch of, where's body? And autocomplete just took me longer than, oh right, because I didn't do this, I didn't do a subselect. So there we go. That is the DatoCMS content as MDX in the API. The issue right now is that we did all MDX for our queries, which is sort of not what we need to do. So let's try to recraft a query such that we can get this data the way that we want it. And I'm disappointed in you, Spotify. Why aren't you working? Also, oh, I forgot about this. This is an automatic playlist that plays whatever I'm playing. Okay, Spotify is dead for some reason. I don't know what happened to Spotify. But hardware acceleration is on, so that's cool. Okay. So we're good here. Let's go look at our query. So this is all MDX. We sort by the front matter date. The sort isn't going to work for us with Dato because I didn't add a date field, which is fine. There's a limit there. I don't care about any of this. So we need the ID. We need to be able to create a slug on it, and we need the title, and then we need the code scope, right? We don't need the scope here actually. So we can get rid of that. Front matter title and the slug. Do we use title? It doesn't actually look like we use title, so let's get rid of that too. Yeah, let's get rid of that. And then we use slug here to create the URL. So we'll do that the same way that we're doing it already. And then I think that this query can actually be straight swapped. Limit 1000, sure, why not? And then we need to go to our, so we have two options here. We can either just straight up query the DatoCMS stuff, or we can try to transform it into MDX on our own. I'm going to take the approach of querying the DatoCMS stuff because that'll probably be more familiar to people. So node internal type, what is this? DatoCMS blog post, I think is the type on this. We'll log these things out. The value can no longer be the file path because it's not coming from a file. So let's do Since we only have one field, and I know that it's only one field, I'm just going to put a value in there right now, but we could slugify the title or something like that, which would make a lot more sense. Probably should have left that logic in, so I shouldn't change this yet, because we still have MDX stuff in here. That is just straight files, so we'll leave that and we'll create a new thing that's for the DatoCMS. DatoCMS blog post. And we don't need these console logs up here because I know what files look like. Get rid of this, and then we only have one value coming from Dato, so I'm just going to hard code a value there, and then we are going to redo this. I'm basically avoiding changing all of the GraphQL queries and the templates until I have the Dato stuff working, and then I'm going to go back and I'm going to change everything. Cool. So does this have fields on it now? Need to refresh this. Fields, maybe? Nope. Let's see what the console log did. Maybe it failed. Cannot query fields. Yep, okay. Cannot read properly, replace of undefined. Okay, create file path. Right, because the MDX for, it actually is getting transformed into MDX, so every time we try to process this on MDX, it does nothing. Dot. So if the title is an empty string, we're just going to return a new node field that has the other title. Again, this is just like, I'm just hacking it through so I can get through and do the conversion without seeing errors. Okay, so here's a bunch of stuff. Cannot redo, replace, undefined, create file system path. Where is that happening? This is replace on undefined, so this is in Gatsby node on line 59. It's create file path. I thought I just blocked that, but maybe not. Oh, yeah, no, that's the issue. So we can do if parent.internal.type is not equal to file, then we create this node field, else we're going to wrap this in the other branch. And I think I need to do const parent equals get node. I don't know if I need get node here. I think I need get node here because node.parent is an ID. So we're going to get the node, we're going to get the type of that node. Cannot query fields on type DatoCMS blog post, that's fine. That's better, actually. So now we have an if statement here where we want to log out what other types that we see here. To make sure that we're getting this DatoCMS blog post type. I'm going to blow the cache away again so that we get force the create node. When we blow the cache away, because we wrote an onCreate node here, we want the nodes to be recreated so that that function runs. So blowing away the cache blows away the data and forces all of the recreation of all of the nodes. You don't necessarily have to do that, but it's a really easy way to make sure that everything has been actually recreated. So that's the node that is getting converted to MDX, I believe. And then DatoCMS field, DatoCMS model, DatoCMS blog post. Is this what we're using to do this check? I don't think it is. Yeah, the P is not capitalized. Again, killed by syntax. I think I capitalized that in the CMS, right? Like when we created the type, it was capitalized. Yeah, it's a blog post. So I'm a little confused as to why it's not capitalized in the type. Why it would be capital B blog post with no capital P. There's some conversion that's happening there that I did not expect to happen. It's inside of the DatoCMS source plugin or inside of the core platform, if that's the way they store it internally. Okay, cool. So we're seeing our nodes now. The DatoCMS blog post is the one that we have that comes through, and then there's the parent below it probably. The parent is undefined. That's fine. There's no parent. It just comes from Dato. That's good. SEO meta tags. That's interesting. That's actually kind of cool. You can put that in the page context or something. Let's see. What else do we have here? So we know that the MDX body is there. The title is here too. That's good. So we should be able to query this now. I don't think we had any errors. Oh, we did have an error. Cannot read property edges of undefined. DatoCMS node 29. Where's 29? There's 29. Right, because we're not using MDX, we're using all. I'm just going to rename this. So one of the really cool things about GraphQL is that I can just rename this and call it whatever I want, so that if we need to swap back between all MDX and all Dato or whatever, it doesn't matter. So they do some camel case again. So interesting. So they do title, or not title case. They squash everything if you do title case or Pascal case, and then if you do like title snake case, it does camel case. That's, yeah, I don't know how I feel about that. It doesn't map to anything that I've seen before anywhere else. So like I would assume that if I wrote a specific case, that I would be able to access it programmatically in that case. But maybe I'm just being naive and there's some technical restriction as to why that is. So let's get the title here too. So there's our title. So that's all good. Let's go to, what is this? Do we have Slugify available, do you think? Let's just see if we have it. This will fail if we don't, so. We can get rid of that console log too. I don't need to see that. But you can see a bunch of the on create node stuff getting called. So we do have slugify. That's cool. We're going to use that to create the slug. We're going to create the slug from the title. Slugify node.title. You know, that's not perfect. I think there's a lowercase here option. And I think there's some like, there's some other options to slugify too, where you can remove like colons and stuff like that. It's just lower, it's not lowercase. Cool. Yeah, and you can do replacements and remove a bunch of stuff like colons or whatever you want. But we don't use those because we know what we're intending to do here. So that should be what we need to set the query up to create the pages. So we should be creating pages at those slugs now. And we should go look at the template, because the template is going to have a query in it. We don't necessarily want MDX here, although we could. So we're basically using the automatic conversion ability of gatsby-mdx. There is another option where we can actually manually convert our data type into MDX or whatever. But yeah, we don't necessarily need that. I also wonder, we could probably do front matter here too. Even though we don't really need it for anything yet. Okay, what are we doing here? MDX, make this bigger so people can see it. So we're in the blog post template. We're not creating pages for the MDX files anymore, so we don't need to use the MDX query. We're going to do the DatoCMS blog post equivalent here. So let's do DatoCMS blog post. That's interesting. Why do we only get the text nodes and not the blog posts? Let's autocomplete this and see what we see. So there's DatoCMS blog post. I must have just misspelled it. That's whatever. Okay. That's what we're going with. And then I'll get rid of this one up here because we don't really need this anymore. So we're going to do an individual query for a single DatoCMS thing. Dato field slug. I don't know if we can query you based on the slug, so let's test the title. So we get this title, and then let's do fields slug EQ slug. I need to wrap this in brackets. Variable slug is not defined. Of course it's not defined. Why would it be defined? What is the title on this? And we just logged it out. So hi from Dato. So I'm assuming that this will be hi from Dato when we slugify it. Maybe it won't. Maybe I need to actually bring back the all Dato CMS query to figure out what that title is going to be. Right, because I hard coded it and I didn't rerun it yet, right? So let's do that. Let's not do the changes here yet, and let's make sure that these nodes get recreated the way that we want them to be. Because I just added Slugify and I haven't rerun it yet. So we don't have the slugs associated with the DatoCMS nodes yet. It'll auto-create the slug for me? That's dope. Where's that? Oh, that's the wrong button. So you're saying if I set a slug on the model, so this is content, so do we need to go to settings for model, or do we need to go to settings for... Here we go, blog post. So you're saying if I just create like a slug field, it'll auto-create it, or auto-populate? That would be much better than doing it programmatically through Gatsby. Where is this? And a blog post can be referenced to its authors, media, modular content, location, color. Let's check settings, maybe. Maybe it's in settings. Title field. So if I set the title field, you're saying? In the model, add a slug field. Okay. So I'm in the model. There's the only one it looks like would be under text, but there's only a single line under SEO. Okay. SEO, that's interesting. Oh, there we go. Oh, that's dope. I guess we'll capitalize that too. And I guess it tells us what the field will look like there. So that's fine. Validations. We're calling it slug, but I don't see... Oh, there we go. There's a reference field. Yeah, unique restriction on the slug. That's great. Yeah, I really want to do that in the CMS and not do it in the... and the data just comes in. That's pretty dope. That's actually that's really great. I really like that. I might use Dato for something, even though I'm having a little bit hard... I'm having a little bit of a hard time with the UI interface because things aren't where I expect them to be, but they seem to have all of the they seem to have everything that I like need to actually do. So I might try to use Dato for some projects. So I think we can get rid of this whole thing here now because we're not querying MDX anymore. So we'll no longer hit that issue. And then this whole thing actually can go away because we're just going to pull the slug off the DatoCMS type. So we can get rid of this. Get rid of this. Which is so much better. Slug. So that should work is what we just went over, right? Cannot query slug. Okay. That's interesting. Let's go to graphical and see why we can't query slug. Yeah, no, I'm not querying fields anymore. Oh, there we go. That's because of that. I also am wondering what the new query for selecting a single one is going to be. All CMS blog post node. What's this? Let's try to refresh this and get the autocomplete. lot of things I don't need in that list. There we go. So there's the model. Oh, we get the actual model data. That's cool. Parent, child, MDX body, SEO meta tags, MDX node, MDX body, updated at. So where's our slug then? Model, maybe it's on model? Sortable API key. This doesn't look like what I want at all. I just wanted to say slug somewhere so that I can query the slug. There's title. There's internal, there's model. Yeah, why do I not see a slug on this? We may actually need to create it in Gatsby. That would kind of not be awesome. Maybe it's because I didn't recreate the content. Maybe it doesn't apply to old content. Right, so the slug down here did not get auto-created. Maybe it's just because it's old. So it doesn't go back and do creation of that slug field, which is interesting for pre-existing content types. So because that field didn't exist, I'm assuming it didn't show up in the GraphQL schema. So let's try this again. Same thing it looks like. Yeah, cannot read properties slug of undefined. And let's check the, there it is, there's slug. So we have slug now. So let's make sure that we have it on our node, ID slug. We don't need this model query. I don't know what I was doing there. Cool, hi from Dato. So this is all DatoCMS blog post, edges, node, ID, slug. So we should have slug in here. Fields is not where we have it anymore though. It's just on the node. So let's make sure that we don't have fields somewhere. Yep, there we go. Cool, so let's redo this. Yeah, it's super interesting that for an auto-generated field, it doesn't do like, I guess validation on all the old content kind of thing. So all MDX is now failing because that's what we need to do next. That's great, I think. Where is that query coming from actually? All MDX fields, oh, it's on the index page. So let's go do that first. Pages, index. And we will do all MDX will become blog posts all DatoCMS blog post. We're going to get rid of the entire sort. We're going to remove slug to the top level. I don't know if we have an excerpt here. We don't have that field on our data type, so I'm going to remove it. That gets rid of, and then we have title. Let's have ID here as well. think that'll work. There is no excerpt, so we're just going to get rid of the excerpt. That's fine. There's no date, so we're going to get rid of the date. That's fine. We can put that into our DatoCMS type later. So this is node.slug or node.title. Cool, so let's call this all blog posts and see if that works. I think I just heard a package get dropped off at my door, so I'm going to get that. It's going to take me a minute or two, and then we'll get back to, yeah, so that worked, which is great. And then we'll do the template in a second when I get back, which will be this file. So we're going to have to change this query to the all Dato, or the Dato content type. Hey Demir, how's it going? We're doing a conversion of a starter to use DatoCMS with gatsby-mdx, which is pretty dope. So far, we've mostly been bulldozing through DatoCMS's Gatsby source, and yeah, now we're sort of getting to the point where we are almost done with the stuff that we need to be done with. Let's see, so let's do slug eq hi from Dato. I wonder if that works. And we'll just do that for fun. So that looks like it works. So we'll do that. Name this blog post. Get rid of this fields. Get rid of the object wrapping it. We don't have an excerpt on this, and we don't have some front matter. So we'll get the title. We'll get the slug. Did I screw up my syntax? Can I query code? Yeah, I know you can't query code on this. Okay, there we go. So we have blog post, we have the title, we have the slug. What we really want here is the code body so that we can render the MDX. So we're going to go to our, we're going to figure out what types we have on this first. There's the MDX body and the MDX body node. So let's go to the node because that seems like the better place to do it. And then child MDX, and then code, and then body. And that should give us the code. So that's what we want. So this is going to be our query. 2, 3, yep. Cool. So that looks like it will work here. We need to change all this front matter to just post.title. This is going to be log post. So we'll just destructure it off. Page context, site title, post excerpt. We don't have, so we're going to get rid of that for now. Front matter date we don't have, so we're going to get rid of that too. Actually, is there a date we can use in this, like created at or updated at or something like that? Updated at. Yeah, let's use that. Let's put the date back here. Now let's do updated at. Cool. So that should work. And then do we have any other front matter calls here? Yeah, so let's get rid of this. Actually, are we adding this in right now? There is no previous and next, so I'm super interested in what's going to happen here. I think those are going to be, there's no previous and no next, so I'm not expecting them to render. And then we have some MDX renderer here, and that will be, what's our MDX body node child MDX. Code.body. Okay, so it looks like the site is working from the CLI anyway. Let's see, cannot read properly, sluggo undefined. What is that in? That is in the page, in the index. So let's go change that. And this is where? Fields somewhere? Yep. So we don't need fields because we already have it as slug. So that should be good. Dope. So hi from Dato. There's Dato. There's MDX content in Dato. So let's see if we can do this. So this is using React Live. So let's change the content here to alert from DatoCMS, right? And then we'll save this. Let's watch it. I think this will just like go in when it saves. Detected change. Yes. Okay, let's see if that works. I don't know if that'll go through the entire cache and everything. Yeah, look at that. So that's alert from DatoCMS. And it's MDX because we can click it and it'll send an alert. So we are rendering MDX content from Dato into a React Live code block and executing like our like design system code or whatever. So that's that. So yeah, there were a few things that we sort of tripped over. Most of them were my unfamiliarity with DatoCMS itself. We had to add the DatoCMS with the token, the plugin to the Gatsby config. We can get rid of slugify there, actually. So let me do that, because we aren't using it anymore. So that's gone. Yeah, so we added the plugin to the Gatsby config. We changed the query in Gatsby node so that we do our page creation differently. And that's this section here. So you can see that we started querying our blog post type from Dato, and we just took the slug off because we don't need to do any fanciness or anything, or created that slug. Then we create the page with that, and it's fine, and we don't have to do anything special. That's the DatoCMS source in package.json. So one thing that is important is that you need to use the 2.0.1 version instead of the 1.whatever version, and you need to specifically select the 2.whatever when you do the install. So that's interesting. And then there's the list of posts that happens on the index page, and we just swapped that out for Dato. That wasn't hard. We don't have an excerpt type, so we could add that to the DatoCMS as well, but we just got rid of it here. And then there's the template for the blog post. And the thing that we did in the blog post template is we changed the query here to be DatoCMS blog post instead of MDX. Still looking on the slug is on the node, and then we look for the code body inside of the child nodes. So this is a node created by DatoCMS that we select, and then we go to child MDX on that node because this is a node that gatsby-mdx creates for us, and then this is the field that we need to actually render the content. Yeah, and then we just swapped out some more variables to the right locations, and that's that. So that's everything. So that's DatoCMS working with gatsby-mdx, which is pretty dope. If I knew Dato much better, I feel like I could have set this up much faster. But yeah, there's a working example. I'll push this up to the examples repo so you can take a look at it if you want to. Let's have a little bit more fun before I push this up, though. Let's see. Let's add this Dato example. Yeah, okay, fine. I'll remove the create file path. It's my ESLint errors keeping me on the straight and narrow here. So that's pushed up if you want to look at it, Krypton. Yeah, have fun with that. And then the other thing that I want to do before we do anything else is I want to create more content. Oh man, I forgot the token. There we go. I want to create more content. Actually, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to yarn add. Yeah, you're welcome, dude. I really enjoy doing this kind of thing, and also I need to document a bunch of stuff. So whenever people ask me, my first method of documentation is just doing a live stream, and I go and I work through it so that anybody can watch it if they need to. I archive that to YouTube, and then I'll write like a page in our documentation side on like how to work with DatoCMS or whatever. So this is really useful for me, just as useful as it is to you. So let's. I'm really interested in if we can do this. So add React color. Yeah. So we're going to add an npm module to our project. And I'm going to use that npm module in the middle of our MDX. And that should be a really nice test. And actually what I'm going to do, I think, is I'm going to make it a global. But I'll try it both ways. Cool. Let's develop. Let's create a new one. See if I can split this out and show it on the the top right or something. Which way do I do this? There we go. And we don't care as much about this, so I'm just going to make it smaller. And then this is going to need to go to homepage. So there's that page. Let's get rid of Slugify. So we're going to add a new record. I'm going to add like whatever post. Let's do, I don't know, let's do like some stuff, got some code. I don't know, what else is there that's interesting in Markdown? I think this is bold, right? Or that's italic, this is bold. What else is there? Why am I not thinking about this? Anyway, let's do that. This is going to be at the URL whatever post. We're going to save this. Hopefully that'll just show up on our homepage because, yeah, there we go. It just showed up on our homepage, which is pretty freaking dope. I really like the DatoCMS source because it means I can just write stuff over here and have it show up over here without having to do like a reload or anything. So I really like that. But here's some code and here's some stuff and there's a bold thing. Also, if I turn this into like I think if I use render here and I do like, I don't know, pre, and just render this out with some in the middle, I can save that and it'll actually render. Oh, no, I didn't. I forgot the extra tag though. I call this React Live. So this passes in a prop that changes it to a live code REPL. So now it's a live code REPL. And look, there's the little code down there. And if I want to change the content of this, I can change it. So you can add like dynamic code examples on your site, which is pretty dope. And you can do it from DatoCMS, which is pretty dope. And it all like live reloads or whatever. Let's see. What was I going to do here? Nifty CMS. Yeah, Dato is kind of cool. I like it. To be clear, this is an MDX feature over here, and I'm running React Live. React Live, which lets me, I guess I can go to the documentation site, right? There we go. React Live gives you these things, like interactive code example kind of things. But Dato is pretty dope because whenever I change something, it just sends like a webhook or whatever to the source. I don't know what it's doing in there. I am going to look at it because I'm interested, but I don't know. And then, yeah, so we installed React Color. So one thing that you can do in MDX files, I think it's called Sketch Picker. So here's an import, and here's a color picker. Sketch Picker is not defined. Is that not what it's called? Import Sketch Picker from React Color, return Sketch Picker. Put Sketch Picker from React Color. I'm going to copy and paste this because I don't know that I didn't screw this up. So let's save that. Oh, you know what I didn't do? If you add like npm modules, you have to blow the cache away. So maybe we can fix that in the future, but it doesn't look like, however Dato is doing their webhook thing, it doesn't run the onCreateNode hook, and the onCreateNode hook is what we need to inject the JSX stuff for the dependencies. So there's our color picker. So if I get, let's do a different one just to prove that it does actually work. Which ones are there? I don't know. Color pickers. Let's see. Sketch picker. What else is there? Where are the other ones? What are these called? Twitter picker, maybe? Twitter picker. Feature picker. Twitter picker. I'm assuming it's called this. I didn't see it called this. There we go. Okay, so that's interesting. So I need to blow the cache away again. So one thing that it won't do is import any dependencies. It'll only import the dependency that you specify. So if you swap it out, we need to run the onCreateNode again. So let's do this. And we'll rerun this. And we'll show that this works. And then we'll remove the import entirely, because I just added a new feature that does that. And I think that'll work. Let's redo this. What did I do? Pickers.Twitter picker. Twitter picker must not be on pickers. Let's see, there as pickers. Does that work? Actually, don't know if this syntax works in MDX, and I don't know if this syntax, no, it doesn't work in MDX, so that's fine. So let's get rid of this import and use it as a whatever it's called. So let's save this and show that it doesn't work when I do that. Yeah, have a good one, Krypton. Let's blow the cache. And then what I'm going to do here is set up a global scope. So in gatsby-mdx, I'm going to set an option called global scope. And this is just going to be a string, and I'm going to import sketch picker and Twitter picker. I actually don't know if that's the right name for the Twitter picker, so might not work. But I'm going to export the sketch picker and the Twitter picker again, so I can rename them if I want to. And when we run this, this will still be wrong in here, the pickers.Twitter picker, but I'm going to change it and we'll see it update. Cool, pickers is not defined. That's expected. But you know what is defined now? Sketch picker. DatoCMS data change. Did I not blow the cache away? I thought I blew the cache away. Oh, you know what I didn't do? I didn't use this right syntax. It's ES6 or ES 2015 module syntax. So it needs to be export default and not just like some random export. Come on, you can do it. There we go. So yeah, so we have the sketch picker in here. Hopefully the Twitter picker is the name that I used. So we just change it in the CMS, hit save. I actually don't know if this is going to work. There it is. So it changes. So now you can use React components as shortcodes. So you can do whatever you want in any of these, and it'll just work. Yeah, so that's how we can do shortcodes. And as you can see, I provided both of them to the scope. So if I want to swap it back from a Twitter picker to a sketch picker, not that like color pickers are a super interesting example of doing this. So maybe we should do like React, YouTube, embed, right? This looks like it's a little bit more config than I want. React player. React player is interesting. What is React player? Well, this just, oh, that's dope. Okay, let's do that. Let's try that. Yarn add workspace, add React player. So in our project, we're going to add React player. I'm going to add this import to the global scope so that we can use it as a rando thing. I'm going to rename it because, you know, like a non-technical person that's trying to use a shortcode doesn't know what React is necessarily, so they're just going to use like, you just want player or like video player or something like that instead. So that looks right to me. What do we need? Do we need a URL? Full URL, huh? Interesting. So this is going to be a Rickroll or something. I'm going to put that there. Let's blow the cache. Let's rebuild the site. And what I'm really interested in is if this ships a data picker, or not a data picker, wow. I really want to see a YouTube video here. I don't know what this YouTube video is, so I'm a little nervous. I don't want to have to apologize to anybody, so I'm thinking about changing that to something else immediately. But let's give it a whirl. Oh right, React player is not defined because I renamed it. That's why. Save. I don't know if it'll recover from the error now, but I can refresh the page. Look at, oh, Chilled Serenity. That looks like a music video thing. That's dope. So yeah, there's a YouTube player. It has a shortcode, right? So if we do YouTube and we go to like, I don't know, say we were like Rocket League. Where are we? There we are. and then I want to change the video. Yeah, we'll change it, it'll reload, and it'll reload the new video, hopefully. See, input consistency and heavy car bug. Yeah, so this is pretty dope.